Good morning, and welcome to day 4 of Morning Fuel with the Driver 7-day mini-series, Peacemakers versus Peacekeepers. We're going to dive right in today. Our subject for today is loving people and still choosing peace. Before we really get in there, I just want to say that today's subject, it's not a black and white subject. It's not to be taken as a clear-cut path of instructions on what to do, how to do it, when to do it. Today's subject is a very personal subject for me, for you, and the point is to take the tools that are going to be shared today, put them into your emotional toolbox, give yourself a chance to kind of just ponder on what's been shared, and you decide if those tools are necessary to use, and if so, when and how. This subject today is not to bring shame, to call anyone out, to say this is what you should be doing, and if you're not, nope. Strictly to empower and to let you know that, yes, even this is part of peacemaking, and sometimes it's a necessary step. So that being said, let's go ahead and dive in. I hope this morning finds everybody doing well. I'm doing pretty good myself this morning. A little tired, but life is life, right? That's all a part of life. So loving people and still choosing boundaries. And when I say people could be people within your friendships, people you're connected to through your family, through romantic relationships, co-workers. It could even be a community that you're attached to, something like church, or maybe a place that you go and things like that. That's what I mean when I say people. And if we be real, some of us have experienced some type of toxic behavior, unsettling behavior that has disrupted our peace in one of those environments, sometimes one or more, right? And that experience may have left you feeling confused, may have left you feeling hurt, maybe in denial even of the behavior that you saw with your eyes, but you really can't connect with your heart that this person or that environment would be associated with that person or that environment. You may find yourself questioning yourself, like, am I crazy? Am I expecting too much? Am I, questioning yourself. You may even find yourself in the role of trying to fix things so we can go back to keeping the peace, things being peaceful, things being how they were. So you're taking on the responsibility to fix or accommodate the behavior that you have noticed. You may find yourself feeling stuck in a cycle of feeling unseen because of that ongoing behavior. Remember how we talked about feeling angry and bitter and a sense of resentment? At times, feeling unsettled. Meaning sometimes it's good when it's good, but while it's good, you're waiting for the next shoe to drop because you've come to expect this behavior. And you're already being hypervigilant on how to work through it so the peace can come back. Finding ways to keep the peace because why? You love them. We love them, right? Can anybody identify with some of those things I just shared? We find ourselves wrestling over the love we have for them and over the inner turmoil that we feel through our emotions, which is really ourself crying out for self-love. Okay. Now, when people hear self-love, they often kind of like, that is a subject that people have a lot of mixed feelings and thoughts about. Some view it in a negative context and they say it's selfish because self-love does not buy into the idea of sacrificial love. It seems to go against that. It's most people's understanding. But this is what self-love is. It's basically not losing sight of who you are. Not losing sight of who you are. Making sure that you are protecting your emotional well-being. In the midst of those interpersonal relationships, protecting you. Not only that, but paying attention to that inner radar when it comes to how you are affected by people or that environment you're in. Paying attention to that. And then not putting your own needs, your own feelings on the back burner in order to take on the role of the fixer or the peacekeeper, because you're busy trying to keep the peace. You're neglecting your own needs. You're pushing that back. I'll take care of me as soon as I get this environment stable again. It's taking in consideration all the above of what I just named, and then doing the best thing that you can do to protect your whole being, your mental, your emotional, and your physical being. That's what self-love is. We all need it. There's nothing selfish about it. So today our focus scripture is going to be Romans 12:18. And it says, if possible, as far as it depends on you, live peaceably with everyone. If possible, as far as it depends on you, live peaceably with everyone. And that's not too much to ask, right? We all want peace in regards to the people and things we're attached to, right? Who doesn't want peace? And we already know that our theme scripture for the whole week, which is Matthew 5:9, says, blessed are the peacemakers, right? So we're not wanting something that's foreign. It's part of our human nature, to want those things, even though we don't act like it sometimes. I believe sometimes in reading these scriptures, that majority of us have maybe taken on this to mean that at any means possible, at any cost, I have to find a way to live in peace, even if it's at the sacrifice of my own self. Right? I've been called to be a peacemaker. But listen, that's right. But that mentality right there is actually a peacekeeper's mentality, not a peacemaker. Not a peacemaker. So I want to break down Romans 12:18. If possible, as it depends on you, live peaceably with everyone. And that is the amplified version. So if you're reading KJV or other versions, like, it don't quite say that, but it has the same meaning. So if possible. So yeah, that right there is saying do everything you can within healthy measures to create true peace, true peace. But it's also saying, because we got that word if, and we all know what if means, that means that sometimes despite our best efforts, it may not be possible. And that's because we cannot control the actions of another person. We can't control their desired outcomes or their desired way of resolving conflict. That means we can't control how they react or their actions. We can't control the attitudes they come with, and we can't control none of that, right? We can't control that. So that means no matter how much effort you put into it, we don't get to fully decide on our own how to reconcile. Or should I say, how to resolve to make sure that we can reconcile. And I want to hit on that word reconcile, or we may hear the word reconciliation, right? I think it's really important that we understand what that means, because if we don't, sometimes we'll think, well, I addressed it and the person said they were sorry, so let's reconcile. And while, yes, that is a quick, easy definition of that, that's more like forgiveness and give it another chance. But reconciliation is a little bit more deeper than that, true reconciliation. So it's not just a person saying, I'm sorry, or trying to smooth things over because they know they messed up. Because reconciliation takes action, right? To know if there's true reconciliation happening. It looks like accountability and acknowledgement. Yes, I messed up. And I did that because of my choices, not because of something you did, because I'm in charge of my own choices, regardless of what you do. It looks like the willingness to address the root cause of the conflict. Excuse me. So that crosses out that whole smoothing over portion. No, true reconciliation means we're gonna, no matter how hard it is, yes, I'm willing to do the work to talk about it, to address the root cause of this whole conflict. Beyond that, it means willing to do the work to change the behavior that's causing the conflict, harmful behavior that I see is hurting you. I'm willing to do the work. And while I know that's not an overnight thing, I'm willing to put the work in to show you that I truly want to have real peace and reconciliation with you. Now, that being said, it's not something that can be determined by one moment of conflict. Okay? So you're not going to be able to say, well, did they really reconcile? Can we really reconcile off of just that one moment? It does take time. It takes time. But it is something easy to see after a while. If there's a pattern and a cycle that's continuing and you're not seeing those signs of true change, true reconciliation, then it's a concern. So the second part of the scripture says, as it depends on you. That strictly just means that you are only responsible for your own actions, your own behavior, and your own choices. Yeah. It does not mean that you are supposed to jump through hoops. You're supposed to neglect your own well-being. You're supposed to disregard your own hurts, not hearts, but your own heart, yeah. Your own hurts in order to keep the peace or make peace or bring reconciliation. No. As it depends on you, that means just do your part. And that's all you can do. And guess what? Doing that does not mean that you don't love that person, that environment, that community, that job, that friend. It doesn't mean that you don't love them. It doesn't. Accountability does not mean there's no love there. Now listen, yes, as peacemakers, we should always, in moments of conflict, work to understand, get an understanding of where that person is coming from, why they're reacting that way, empathize with them, hear them out, okay? We should always do that. But we also need to make sure we have healthy boundaries set. True peace does not mean being a doormat for someone, letting them constantly run over you. It does not enable ongoing harmful behavior. Peacemaking doesn't do that. Ongoing mistreatment or ongoing neglect when it comes to addressing your needs or understanding your needs, understanding your heart, respecting your boundaries. No, it doesn't. Yeah, we're talking about how can we love people and still choose peace, okay? Now, yesterday, if you tuned into yesterday, I gave an analogy using my stove, right? In regards to boundary setting and things like that, conflict and boundary settings. So just to kind of recap a little bit, my stove has two eyes in the front that have chosen to work how they want to work. It doesn't matter what setting I put it on, they cook everything at high temperature, right? And so I identify the issue, I know the issue, but because I really want this to work, I would have been willing to do what I need to do to make it work, right? First of all, when I started kind of accommodating the use of my stove, I thought maybe it was a fluke and maybe if I gave it a chance, it would work itself out, but it didn't. So what I started doing was learning how to work around the issue instead of looking to repair it. So I found myself, I learned how to turn the eye off at the right time, let the food cook for a certain moment before I turn the eye back on, or start taking the pot off the eye at a certain time so it could just cook over there so it wouldn't burn. I retrained myself for that, and even got to the point where I was inconveniencing myself because I just didn't trust that stove enough on certain things not to burn it, to mess it up. Because even with all the accommodation I was doing, there were still points where it would mess up my stuff, and I find myself really frustrated and mad because this stove is doing what it's doing. So I started going to someone else's house, having to drag all my stuff over there, prep over there, cook over there, and then drag all my stuff back just so I can get the results that I wanted. Overextending, over accommodating, right? And it's a stove, but I think it's a good analogy. So it comes to a point where I'm gonna get frustrated with that, right? And it's like, okay, this is not working. I'm not really addressing the real issue here. I'm peacekeeping, if that was a situation, right? And so, in order to become a peacemaker and do some peacemaking, I need to actually address the real root of the problem, right? What is the cause of this conflict with me and my stove? The elements don't work properly. So here's my solution. First of all, I need to choose to stop accommodating, right? Because it's overextending me. So how do I do that? Well, because I love my stove and I have a long-term 10-year relationship with my stove, right? I want to put the work in and invest in trying to repair my stove. I want to repair it. So that means now I'm going to take that energy I was using on trying to accommodate it, and I'm going to pour it into trying to invest and work on it, get it repaired, see if it can work itself out. I know it's not going to be like it was at the beginning, but at least a new start, brand new start, it'll work like it's designed to work, right? So let's say I go through all those motions. Now, get it back, and it's doing the same thing. Here's the question. What happens if, despite all my time and investment to be that peacemaker or to get that stove repaired, my efforts seem to be in vain because it just seems to be unrepairable? The situation has not changed. Things have not gotten better. Sometimes it can even get worse, but what do I do? Well, let's look at it. I mean, the stove was still working when I went and got it repaired, right? So maybe when it comes back, yeah, it's still working. It may not be working how I need it to work. It may not work in a way that gets rid of all those frustrations and things like that, but it's still working. I can still make it, and I can still make it work. I can continue to do what I was doing, accommodating, going out of my way, overextending. I can do those things. That's my choice, right? But here's another question I'd like to pose to you. If I choose to hold on to it because I've grown to love it, right? It's all I've known for the last 10 years. It's my stove. I know how it works. I know the ins and outs. I know what makes it tick. I know how to recognize the signs that it's getting ready to burn my stuff, getting ready to overboil. Like, I'm very familiar with this thing. I have to ask myself, is it worth it? And what is it costing me now, and what will it cost me in the future? Kind of some deep questions when it comes to a stove, right? But I mean, listen, let's tie it into the ones we love, or the things we love, those communities. Real question. When efforts of reconciliation and repair fails, what's next? What do we do? What can we do? Because our goal is peacemaking, right? Well, I want you to know you have a choice. And the choice is for you. You can keep, stay, or remain for peace's sake, right? Or you can choose to walk away or step away from what's causing that harm, what's disrupting that peace, for peace's sake. And guess what? No one can tell you the answer to that. No. And even if they tried, eventually you have to know what's right for you. Deep down inside, you got to know. And like I said, today's subject, what we're talking about, this is not a black and white, easy to resolve issue. You know, it's not one of those, okay, this is hurting me. I'm tired of it. You know what? I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm walking away. It's not that easy, right? Even though some people say that's what you should do, you need to do, but it's not. Why? Because if we look at the key phrase in today's title, it says loving people. Loving people. And when it's someone or something that we love, there's an attachment to that, right? And so that portion alone makes it hard and confusing to know what to do next. It's not an easy choice. And I would be lying to say if this is an easy part. But I do want you to know that this is also an element of peacemaking. And this is why it is so important to have things like self-awareness, self-love, and boundaries in place for yourself. Because when you find out who you are, what makes you tick, what you're willing to tolerate, what hurts, what makes you feel respected, and you love who you are, flaws and all, yeah, you feel more comfortable not only knowing and being able to set and establish boundaries, but you'll feel more comfortable in enforcing those, because you'll know that you are worth it. So what, I have flaws. So what, I'm not perfect. But that does not mean that I don't have the right to be respected. Because nobody's perfect, right? But like I said, that takes self-awareness. That takes self-love in order to get those boundaries, know those boundaries, put those boundaries in place, and do the hard work in enforcing them. Yeah. And look, listen, whatever your choice is, if it is walking away or stepping away, don't take on that baggage of, because you had to walk away, whether it's temporary or permanently, that you are a failure all of a sudden, or you're a quitter. No, not so. And let's acknowledge, sometimes that choice is going to feel more like it's creating more chaos than it's creating peace. But you have to know that this is also the hard work of being a peacemaker. How so? Because sometimes that peacemaking effort that you've been trying to do in that environment, in that relationship, you got to turn that inward. You got to turn it inward. Yeah? You can't control your environment and you can't control other people's actions, but you can protect your peace so you don't lose you. You can protect your peace so you don't lose you. Peacemaking. It's not just for your surroundings, but it also includes you. It also includes you. It's a lot. And because I know it is, and like I said, it's not a roadmap or a clear black and white, I do want to give you some tools, some specific tools to put into your emotional well-being toolbox for when you're ready to look at this, to help you gauge that decision making, especially if this is something that is resonating with you. And listen, these tools are not just related to one part of life. These tools can be used when it comes to knowing if it's time to leave a job, knowing if it's time to leave any type of relationship, or maybe kind of back away, not just so much leave. Because can you leave family? Yes and no. But sometimes you may have to kind of push away a little bit because of the toxicity of it. So knowing, job, relationship, significant other, a community that you're a part of, friendship, these tools can be used to gauge all those areas. So here we go. Number one, your boundaries. If you are noticing that they are continually being disrespected, continually being crossed, or you're being made feel guilty for even having boundaries in place, that's a sign. And let me stop here, because sometimes we will make boundaries, establish them, and want to enforce them, but we have not been fair by letting that person or environment know what our boundaries are. We can't expect people to respect our boundaries if they don't know. People are not mind readers, so we have to do the hard work of sharing those boundaries Okay? So despite stating your limits, they're constantly crossed. That's showing a sign of disrespect, lack of respect for you. Number 2, you find yourself self-sacrificing you. You are, and what I mean by that, not so much just neglecting your own needs, but you're starting to change who you are, your personality, you're bearing your emotions, all to accommodate, okay? You're dismissing your own needs at the expense of trying to make this work. You're losing you. Number 3, your efforts are one-sided. You're noticing that you're the only one stepping up to the plate to fix the problems, to resolve conflict. You're the only one that seems to be willing to communicate in a healthy way. You're the only one that seems to be making compromises. It's all one-sided. Number 4, it costs you your peace. What does that look like? You're constantly feeling drained whenever you come in contact with the environment, the person. You feel this sense of dread and anxiety. Yeah, things are good now, but it's always this thing in the back that says, when is the next shoe going to drop? When is this going to happen? You're walking on eggshells. You find yourself managing that person's emotions. You find yourself constantly making excuses for what's happening, downplaying it. It's not that bad, or this is the reason why, just to convince yourself to stay. Number 5, your safety and your trust feels like it's been compromised. You no longer feel emotionally or even sometimes physically safe in that environment. How can you tell? Because you no longer feel like you could be yourself. You can be open. You're watching your back. Again, walking on eggshells. Number 6, your relief outweighs your sadness. And what that means is, you ever found yourself daydreaming about escaping it all? Sometimes that could be an indication that something in that environment's not right. Something's making you feel unsettled. Or maybe at the thought of leaving, separating, severing it, walking away, and you entertain that, you feel this sense of peace that comes with it. Or moments where you are severed away from that, even if it's temporary because that person or you're not in that environment and you're not thinking about it, it's not weighing on you, and you feel peace. All those are tools that you can use to kind of gauge your choice and decision in that area. Like I said, today's subject is definitely not an easy one. And it's personal, which means if it resonated with you, only you can decide what, the how, and the when. Only you. Only I can. It helps to have information. It helps to have things that kind of give us insight and guidance. But at the end of the day, it's up to us. And like I said, the purpose of today's video, this whole week, is just to empower you. I want to empower you. I want you to know that choosing peace doesn't always mean everything has to stay the same. Choosing peace does not mean everything always has to stay the same. You can love people. You can care for people. You can pray for people in those environments and still need space, and that's okay. Our scripture said, if it is possible, live peaceably with everyone. If it is possible. Which means that sometimes it's not. I want to give you some food for thought. And you don't have to answer this in the comments unless you are open to sharing. But here's a question. And I'm asking this myself too. Is there a place where you feel that you need to accept this, that part of peacemaking means I may need to walk away, step away, even if temporary or permanently. Is there a place where you feel like you need to look at that instead of trying to force what isn't by peacekeeping? And I'm going to leave you with that thought. Until then, I will see you tomorrow for day 5, the shift. Okay? We're going to talk about how to make that shift. I want to encourage you, if anything in this video or day 1 through 3 has encouraged you and you want to continue on this journey and new journeys with me, please check out my YouTube page, Navigating Life with the Driver. It has my Morning Fuel with the Driver series on there, as well as videos of real life, real growth, real honesty associated with navigating life with the driver. You can find me by typing @Journey with the Driver in the search box. My beautiful face will pop up. Please subscribe, ring the bell for all notifications, like and share anything that resonates with you. God bless.